Hey there, and welcome to the first official episode of Mike Reviews Military Stuff. I am your host, of course, Mike B. And today I will be giving my opinion and kind of a rating on the French model 1915 Adrian helmet. So it's not going to be really a history video because I've already done videos on these, like of the helmets of the world. This is going to be kind of a gear review, but I'm going to be doing it for all military items from all different time periods and all different countries. So, this was used from 1915 to, well, actually through the Second World War, and this was used by many different countries, specifically French-designed ones and French-manufactured ones. So, Italy used them, Russia used them, Romania used them, and through the Second World War, these can be found. Now, these differ from the M1915 Adrian helmet and other, like Italian model 1916 Adrian helmets, because of the four-piece design. You've got the front visor, the rear visor, the actual dome itself, and then the crown. So it's four pieces. The M1916 is a two-piece design. It's got the crown and the shell. And then the Italian is also a two-piece design. So that's how you can tell the difference. That's about all I'm going to say about the history of this. So we're going to go into a ranking system, and I'm going to do this out of a 10, I guess, stars or just 10 points system. And what we're going to be looking at first is the aesthetic appearance of it. And this is, again, my opinion on it. Now, you got to take into consideration of that time, helmets were a new thing. And I chose this as my first video because I'm obsessed with helmets, first and foremost. It's my favorite thing to probably review and talk about. And this was the first modern helmet widely adopted by a military. Helmets weren't a new concept, but they were just not used for several hundred years in between the medieval/Renaissance era and the First World War. It was mainly hats or kepis, stuff like that, pickelhaubes, which were later, but leather hats and helmets, but nothing like that steel or widely used because the advent of firearms and stuff. So that's why I chose to review this. Aesthetically, it's actually a pretty cool looking design. And it was tested recently, which I'll get into in a second, which is going to add to our ranking. And it still holds up, the actual design itself. A lot of design and thought and engineering went into this for many different reasons, but just aesthetically, it looks pretty neat. It looks a little bit better than a hat. It looks a little bit more rugged. It's unique. And you can definitely tell an Adrian helmet, whatever model it is, just by the design. It looks very, very unique. You can tell, hey, that's an Adrian helmet. So I'd say aesthetically, I would give this an 8 out of 10 because of the just overall appearance of it, the recognition, and it just looks pleasing to the eye. It's got nice rounded features, and the comb is really interesting. And then all of a sudden, or also you've got the branch badges that denote the branch of your service in the military. So that's pretty cool. So I give that an 8 out of 10. Practicality and usefulness. Now we're gonna take into consideration the entire time it was used in the military, and we're not gonna really be adapting this for a modern day use. Some items that I would just consider military surplus today, this is not one of them. I'll be doing the practicality and usefulness as it relates to today as the ranking, but I'll still mention back in the time. Now today, this is obviously a collector's item, hardcore. And its usefulness nowadays, this isn't my official number, I'm not even going to put this up in the video. My usefulness nowadays and practicality nowadays is going to be a 1 out of 10. It's slightly better than a hat, but as far as any sort of ballistic protection and modern combat application, it's going to be a 1 out of 10. However, back in the First World War and Second World War, and these were also used farther than that, but that's when their peak usage was by many different nations, the practicality/usefulness of the helmet itself was about an 8 out of 10 as well because of a few things. So the design itself is very, very practical in the sense that when I mentioned that the military did modern testing, this comb and this design of the helmet actually for overhead blasts, the concussion, if you've never experienced artillery or any kind of explosion militarily with metallic explosion, the concussion is immense, and that can damage you and what we call scramble your eggs just as much as fragments can hurt you and kill you. So a lot of concussive force comes down when a shell goes off overhead, which was used a lot in World War I. Well, this design actually, when it was tested against a modern Kevlar helmet, this design actually angled the blast away from the wearer's head a lot more effectively than a modern helmet. So for that, it was very practical. Also, for dirt clods and stuff like that it was actually designed for, and some fragmentation, some shrapnel. There's two different things. This was actually a very practical thing back then. What was interesting is a little fun fact that I mentioned on the Helmets of the World video is after these were introduced in the first few months in 1915, the French reported casualties for head injuries, the numbers went up about 75%. And the command could not figure that out. And they said, why the hell did we just spend all this time and money on engineering this and getting this out to our troops if it's just going to make the head injury rate increase? Because they didn't understand statistics. That 75% increase in head injuries were previously reported mostly as fatalities, whereas now they're being reported as head injuries. Now, it didn't go into detail of the severity or the, whatever, but that's a pretty substantial number of reduced deaths just from introducing a practical helmet like this. So I'm going to give this, like I said, an 8 out of 10 for practicality back then. The quality and durability, this is going to be our next ranking. I get the concept and I get that, but it could have been a lot heavier duty steel. This stuff, I could probably punch this really hard right now and it would bend a little bit. It's very thin. It's not the most intensely high quality of steel. I don't know the exact composition of it. But the quality and the durability, most originals that I've seen that you can tell were worn, this is an artillery one, so it might not have gotten as much use or action, who knows. But most of the original French M15s you're going to find are going to have dents in them at some level. Most are going to do that. And then the liners are, leather, so it doesn't really hold up over time. It can rot and stuff like that. So for durability and quality, I'm actually going to give this about a 4 out of 10. Because there were actually a lot better designs at the same time this was used. In 1915, it was a really good thing, but they could have made it a little bit better, in my opinion. They could have made it a little bit heavier and simplified the design itself, so that reduces the durability of it, in my opinion. Comfort level. So this just utilizes a leather system like this. This one's actually in really good shape, and it fits a big head like mine. It's actually quite comfortable, and because it's so lightweight, it feels like just a little bit heavier hat. And it keeps the sun out of your eyes and the sun off your neck a little bit. So that's pretty cool. For comfort, I'd give this an 8 out of 10. And that's still to this day, even just if you want to wear it around as a hat. It's a very comfortable helmet because of its lightweight design. It's got these little aluminum spacers in it, but they don't touch your head because of the leather protecting you. So it's going to be an 8 out of 10 as well. So the originality of the design now is going to be our second to last ranking. The originality of this is very good. Although it was influenced and inspired by a lot of medieval and later and prior designs, it all culminated into this original design to meet the needs of the French military in the First World War, making this the first helmet that was introduced and inspired other countries to do the same thing. And it's just, again, it's a very original design. It incorporates about 4 or 5 different concepts from medieval or older armor designs way in the past, and it brings it into the modern world. So I would say that this is a 9 out of 10. But because it was the first modern combat helmet ever adopted and influenced the rest of the 20th and 21st centuries, I'm going to actually give this one a very rare ranking on this series of 10 out of 10 for originality of design. So nobody else had come up with anything quite like this except France, so it's going to get a 10 out of 10 for that. Now, the modern cost. So this is going to be another thing that I'm going to talk about from a collector's point or a practical point if you're going to be using surplus items that are more modern and readily available on the market and aren't as collectible as this. The modern cost on these is not terribly high. It's between $100 and $400 on average for an original one in okay shape. I'm not going to get into that either on this video. Modern cost, though, for the other things and comparing like the quality, durability, effectiveness, besides collecting, it's going to be a 2 out of 10 because there's really no practical purpose to it when you kind of factor in the cost-benefit analysis. As far as being a collectible item, the cost is actually not that high, so I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. But the official number, because we're going to be using this for... Actually, no, we'll go with collecting because this is a collectible item. I'm going to kind of try to, I'm working out kinks in this series. So we'll just stick with that. So I'll give this a 5 out of 10 for modern cost on the collectible market. Practical, it's going to get a 1 or 2. We'll say 1.5 out of 10. But for this one, the official number, because this is a collectible item and it's not a, necessarily a practical item anymore, 5 out of 10. All right, so we have the final rankings right here. You can see that. That's what I think about this particular piece of military equipment. It's pretty interesting. I got a lot of really good things to say about it, but you got to be honest. Like, its quality and durability could be better, stuff like that. These are my opinions. If you agree with them, that's fine. If you don't, this is not anything set in stone. This is just what I think about it based on my life experience and my knowledge and research. So let me know what you think. If you liked the video, or even, well, if you didn't, you probably don't need to say anything, but you can just be on your merry way. But again, you wouldn't be making it this far unless you enjoyed it, right? That's what we would hope. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Thank you for watching. Hope you like the new series. I'll keep this going as long as you guys want me to. I'm going to try to be reviewing things that I have. I don't want to just sit there and do a review video on something I don't have in front of me or have worn and have experience with. So it's going to be like that. So, I mean, you can make suggestions, but I don't have everything in the world, and I don't have all the money in the world to do reviews or the time in the world, because a lot of this stuff will be from my personal experience. This will probably be one of the longer videos, hopefully, maybe. I'm not saying that was it. Never mind. We won't go there. Anyway, so we'll get to this part now. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoy the rest of my work, if you want to support the channel financially to help keep it growing and to be able to do more reviews on cool stuff, you can become a Patreon supporter or become a channel member. $5 a month or more on either platform. You can see into my Discord server, which is really fun. We got a lot of cool conversations on there. I'm learning a lot. Other people are learning a lot. It's fun in there too. Good talks. And your support just helps me be able to make content that I wouldn't be able to afford just funding out of pocket. If you don't want to go that route, I also have a Teespring merch shop thing that's going to be expanding ever increasing once I come up with more ideas. That link is in the description. You could do that. That helps support the channel as well, and allow me to do more content and videos. The past couple years have been really cool, expanding. Blah 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 blah. Stop talking. Right? We already know. That's fine. And if you can't support the channel financially, you know the drill. I appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit the like button, as you know. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video if you think it's pretty cool and it could start up a cool conversation, and somebody might learn something, or be compelled to go do some research and learn some more stuff. So that's another way you can support the channel that's not financial if you can't go that route. Anyway, thank you for watching. Sorry the video ran so long. I'll try to make the subsequent ones shorter, but we'll work out the kinks as we go along. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you on the next episode of Mike Reviews Military Stuff.